Interruption, but I'm Mike Wilbon, and after this show, I'm flying down to New Orleans for the Super Bowl, Tony.
Tony Kornheiser, oh please. You're heading down there for Friday. By Saturday, you'll be teeing it up in Arizona. Stop, everybody knows what you're doing.
Little Scottsdale National, a little waste management. You know, you could stand
that's
from
right.
Arizona, waste management.
That's right, waste management. Yeah, where the part 3,
TPC,
where everybody goes
16.
Nuts. They go a little bit too nuts. You boys.
Less nuts this year.
Yeah. Welcome to PTI, boys and girls. In today's episode, the Lakers land a big. The NFL Players Union reacts to an 18-game season, and Alex Smith joins us for 5 good minutes. But we begin today with the second shoe finally dropping in the Jimmy Butler trade. He's off to Golden State with a contract extension he supposedly did not want from them. Golden State gave up 3 players, most notably a former number 1 overall pick, Andrew Wiggins. Wilbon, how do you see this playing out for Butler and the Warriors?
Well, Tony, this is confusing because I think the Warriors made themselves better, but I don't know that they're going to pay. Who are they going to pass? Like, part of this is, people say, well, you can't put them on the team. Well, who are you going to take off? So, are the Clippers going to sink? Maybe. I don't think the Clippers made themselves better. The Suns certainly didn't make themselves better. And so they're in that glut of teams from 5 through 12. But I think Jimmy Butler out there, and he's got to go into playoff Jimmy mode almost right away, Tony. There's only like 30 and change games left in the season, and we're going to get to the playoffs. Yeah. So him out there with Draymond Green and Steph Curry, and Kuminga stays. This is a big deal. I think they're really talented. I think they could get on a run. Do I see them like catching Oklahoma City and Memphis and Houston? No. Yeah. I'm not sure about Denver. The Lakers have made, we're going to get to them, and made themselves better now. But I think if you get in a series with Butler and Draymond and Stephen Curry, in a series you don't necessarily want to get into it with them if those guys are healthy.
We're on the same track here, though I am a little bit more negative than you. A couple of days ago, we sat here, we were talking about Kevin Durant going to the Warriors, and I said, even with Kevin Durant, I can't see them winning a title, and Kevin Durant's better than Jimmy Butler. Jimmy Butler is a really good player, but how good are the Warriors? We want them to be good because we like Steve Kerr, we like Steph Curry, we like Draymond Green, but they're not good. They're tied for 11th now. So if Jimmy Butler takes Klay Thompson's place, in effect, I still don't think that they can win. I don't. And what you get with Jimmy Butler, because I think that team is the Titanic now. What you get with Jimmy Butler is a guy who time and again has proven he will disrupt the team if he's not happy. He will sink a team. How would you like? What if he starts sidling up to the combustible Draymond Green? You know exactly what's going to happen because I don't. He's 35. He's going to be there until he's 37. You're going to be surprised if he doesn't like it. I'm not going to be surprised, and I think he's a very good player.
Tony, this is for now and next year, and he's going to be happy. He just got $110 million. I hear what you're saying, and that has come later in each tenure. Later. It doesn't start that way. That's when he's playoff Jimmy. So I'm looking for the best of Jimmy Butler, and I'm looking for if those guys can be healthy. If they got to get in the mix, they got to get, become a 6. They can't get to 6, 7, 8, 9, but you can't be 11. There's no payoff for 11 or 12. Not happening. The Lakers added another piece to their puzzle last night. LA landed center Mark Williams from the Hornets for Dalton Connect, Cam Reddish, and an unprotected first-round pick. And Williams is a 7-footer. Averaged 16 and 10 for Charlotte this season. Now, Luka wanted a player like him, long and bouncy, can catch lob passes. Tone, does this trade make you believe in the Lakers now, right now, this season?
Oh, yes. Emphatically, yes. They just replaced Anthony Davis. As you say, is a two-way player. Is a 16 and 10 guy. He's even got the same fallibility as Anthony Davis because he can't stay healthy either. No. He has played, let me get the numbers, 84 out of a total of 212 games. That's 40%. That's like getting an advanced degree in Joel Embiidism. But if I was Mark Williams, Mike, I would feel like I died and went to heaven.
Hit the lottery.
Because I just left an outpost in Charlotte. I go to Los Angeles with Luka and LeBron, and I'm a Dookie, and I get coached by a Dookie. And let's go to the backstory here. They traded for Luka late Saturday night. By Monday, reportedly, Luka was in the offices talking to management about what he wanted, a certain type of center, a center like Mark Williams, and by Wednesday, they had delivered. So if you have any doubt as to the direction of the Lakers, whether it's going to be towards Luka or towards LeBron, this should alleviate your doubt. It's Luka's team already, and he hasn't even played, and LeBron, for the first time in his career, is Robin and not Batman.
Yeah, I don't know. You could have two Batmans. I ain't putting LeBron. I'm not putting LeBron also starring. No, LeBron's been playing too well. He's been great. He's been too great this season for me to go there yet. But, Tony, I agree with you. The addition, by the way, Rob Pelinka. Now, you can say Luka fell into his lap, fine. But he had to go out and make these other deals, and giving up Connect could not have been easy. But Mark Williams is when Luka said what he wanted, he's talking about a guy like he used Gafford and Lively last year. Gafford had been on the Bulls and the Wizards, and nobody even knew. And all of a sudden, in May and even into June, he's throwing them down, like a young Dwight Howard, because that's what happened with Luka. Now Luka gets a guy who puts you in that mindset. Tony, he is not a defender. He's not Anthony Davis when it comes to rim protection. But, okay, offensively, and those guys can do that. The lineup they have, which still includes Austin Reeves, still includes, who did I mention? Hachimura didn't get traded. Dorian Finney-Smith, one of Luka's boys from Dallas. They played together 3 years there. Yes, I believe in the Lakers now. I do, because I don't know that Houston or Memphis are ready to win in the playoffs yet. I think Oklahoma City is. But, yes, the Lakers look like a top 4, if not better team to both of us, apparently.
On the eve of the Super Bowl, Lloyd Howell, the head of the NFLPA, announced, quote, "No one wants to play an 18th game. No one. 17 games for many of the guys is too long," unquote. Well, Lloyd Howell is your boy.
Yep.
Do you think the players will end up agreeing to an 18th game?
Yes. They're going to. They'll get lots of concessions. They'll look at the things that matter most to them, like health, to the degree to which they can influence it. The league always says, our number one priority is health and safety. That's a lie. It isn't. The number one priority is cha-ching, and they are going to make more money. The league, they would like, the NFL owners, the league, they would like the season to go to Easter. They want to dominate your thoughts from Labor Day to Easter. They'll settle for President's Day. You and I don't acknowledge that. We actually remember. We don't remember. Abraham Lincoln, and George Washington, we know what a President's Day actually is, the holiday that is now trumped up for both their birthdays. The NFL will go that long with the Super Bowl. They'll go to mid-February. Yep. They'll play these games. They'll get an extra bye. They'll give the players some of what they want. It's going to happen. Yep. I love Lloyd Howell for saying we don't want to do this, but they're going to get caught up in a tidal wave.
Yes, I'll answer the question, do I believe that the players will go for an 18th game? I'll answer it by saying, is the sky blue and are there minerals in Greenland, our next state? Yes, 100% they're going to go for this because, as Lloyd Howell said, there's a wish list. And maybe the wish list is all grass fields if possible. Second bye, no exhibitions, larger rosters, and more money. And they're going to get that because the owners want an 18th game because it goes 12 to 14, 14 to 16, 16 to 18 because 17 is stupid. And you're right. It ends up on President's Day when Monday is a national holiday in America. So everybody watches the Super Bowl Sunday night. That, as I say, is how we make the peace. That's what's going to happen. And there's money involved. I mean, player safety is on the margins, like with kickoffs. It's a violent game.
Doubt.
You're going to play the game, get rewarded for playing the game. Let's take a break. Coming up, it's been brought to our attention that it's also Super Bowl week. So it's a perfect time to bring in ESPN NFL analyst Alex Smith. Alex, let's start with this. Patrick Mahomes was essentially your understudy during his rookie year at Kansas City. We all know what happened. We all know they chose Patrick Mahomes at that point after that year. Andy Reid said this week that you were the ultimate professional on and off the field. What did you see in Mahomes then, and what do you see in Mahomes now?
Yeah, that's a great question. I mean, first off, I don't know what Andy was thinking, picking Patrick over me, but we'll save that for another time. I think the thing that I try to tell people about Patrick is we get caught up in the You know, the sidearm passes, the no-look passes, all the improvisation. And it looks like it's a little bit of organized chaos, that it's recess. And there is that element to Patrick's game, but more so he wins between his ears. And I don't think that gets talked about enough, and especially these last 2 years, right? They lost Tyreek. You know, Kelsey's getting a little older. He doesn't have the weapons, and he's not throwing for 55 touchdowns like he did early on in his career. And he's really had to morph and adapt his game. And so much of what he's doing, especially last year's playoff run and this playoff run, is getting the ball out fast, winning at the line of scrimmage. He's so good at protections. He makes all the calls at the line. They do so many check with me's, getting them into the best play. And he's really figured out a different way to win. Listen, he hasn't had a 1,000-yard rusher or receiver this year. They are the only team that made the playoffs that can say that. And yet they went 15-1, and here they are going for a three-peat. So for me, those traits, the grinder, Patrick, the guy that's in the film room, the junkie film room, that part of him was evident his rookie year, and I think it's shining out, especially these last 2 years.
We're going to ask you to put on a bit of a forecaster hat here because, of course, the Chiefs traded you to Washington, and we're not going to dwell on it. You came back from a gruesome injury. When you watch one of your successors, Jaden Daniels, named today Rookie of the Year in Washington, Alex, what do you see?
It's unprecedented, Mike. It's the greatest rookie season ever, right? It's the hardest position in sports, and he did it like nobody's ever done it. And I think context is important, right? This is an organization, you said it, that I played for. They've gone through some dysfunction the last couple decades. A lot of people have tried to right that ship. And the people that they have in place now, but specifically Jaden, for a young man to come in his first year in the NFL and to go do what he did has just been remarkable. And I'm not going to do it justice with any of my pros here, but I've been so amazed. There's a lot of really athletic players in college, and you wonder how they're going to translate to the NFL. And I think it was very clear early on that Jaden, the speed and the athleticism did translate. But I think the thing that I was most impressed with was the poise, right? The passing from the pocket, under pressure, and we saw that as the season went on. I mean, how many times in clutch situations, late in a game, fourth quarter, when this guy was playing at his best, and you just can't teach that. You can't teach that kind of poise, and this kid has it. And for the rest of that locker room to know that they have a guy, like for that defensive unit to know that they got a guy, listen, if we just give him one more chance, we get the ball one more time, he's going to go win it for us. And, you know, the future obviously is bright. That's saying the least for him in Washington and that entire organization. And I couldn't be happier for that fan base. It's a sleeping giant, and I look forward to what's to come.
We'll go from long-term future to short-term is in Sunday. You have familiarity with the club, the football club that is the Philadelphia Eagles. When you see them as a former quarterback, what do you see that would make you most nervous, Alex? And what do you see that you might be able to exploit, that you'll be trying to exploit if you were out there?
Yeah, listen, there are not a lot of weaknesses on this roster, and specifically on this defense, right? This defensive line is absolutely elite at the second level. I mean, Bond is an MVP caliber player on the defensive side of the ball. Burks has stepped in for Nakobe Dean, played so well. And then on the back end, the two rookies that have stepped in and played are really, really mature players. And listen, I was with Vic Fangio for 2 years. The job he has done this year has been unbelievable. He is so talented and so good from an X's and O's standpoint. So the one thing that I think I would target if there's someplace, if I were to pick out a weakness, these two safeties for the Eagles, they're really good players. And the Eagles love to play a shell defense. They play four across on the back end. They try to keep everything in front of them. And these guys are really good tacklers. I would love to try to get a matchup, get these guys in a one-on-one situation down the field in coverage. I think those are places you can try to exploit, certainly that Washington took advantage of in their victory over Philadelphia. But the thing that makes me most nervous is, listen, Vic Fangio doesn't have to pressure. He's got four guys up front that can really get after the passer. Jalen Carter is an absolute game wrecker, requires a double team almost all the time. And then the guys on the edge are really, really good. Nolan Smith Jr., Josh Sweat, Brandon Graham might be coming back. I mean, listen, they got a Rolodex of defensive linemen that can come in and play. And if you can rush four and get pressure, it's a long day for a quarterback.
Well, coming off that, we'll ask you to be short and we'll get you out of here on this. Who are you leaning to? Who are you leaning to?
I'm totally unbiased, Tony. Listen, again, this Philadelphia team, this roster, what Howie Roseman has built it's just a juggernaut. They're so good everywhere. There's not a weak position group on that team. That being said, listen, everything against Kansas City, they still always found a way, right? And that coaching staff, Matt Nagy, Spags, Dave Tobe, the coordinators they have, obviously Andy Reid, and then they got 15. The guy that has always found an edge and found a way to win. And if this game's close in the second half, there's no way I'm counting out Kansas City Chiefs.
It's great. Be true to your school. It's where you came up.
Absolutely.
Thank you, Alex.
Thanks so much.
Thank you.
Good to have you.
Appreciate you guys.
Join us again. We'd love it. 7th birthday, Adley Rutschman. The Orioles switch-hitting catcher was the #1 overall pick in the 2019 baseball draft. And when he came up to the majors, it looked like the Orioles were set behind the plate for a decade or more. And Rutschman has been quite good, but there was some adversity last year. Overall, he batted .250 with 19 homers and 79 RBI, which is fine for a catcher. But in his final 58 games, Rutschman hit .207 with 3 homers and 20 RBI, followed by 1 for 8 in the playoffs.
Tony, I know the Orioles have a cast, an ensemble, but winning without Santander, that's going to be hard given his production last year. I know he walked. I don't think I could have let him walk. Bryce Harper left the Nationals, your Nationals, and they won anyway, but it's a tough act.
Happy anniversary, Tony Gwynn. This is posthumous, but around this day 45 years ago, the future first ballot baseball Hall of Famer recorded 18 assists as the point guard on the San Diego State basketball team. Gwynn remains the Aztecs' career leader in assists with 590, and in a single season with 221. In fact, Gwynn came to SDSU primarily as a basketball player. Ironically, 2 SDSU baseball players were struck by a vehicle, opening up an opportunity for Gwynn. If not for that accident, Gwynn doubted he would have ever played baseball in college. On the same day in 1981, Gwynn was drafted by the San Diego Padres and the San Diego Clippers.
How about the fact that Gwynn had more assists in 4 years at San Diego State than he had strikeouts in 20 years of Major League Baseball? After Ted Williams, I mean, isn't Tony Gwynn in the conversation for greatest hitters ever?
One of the greatest hitters ever, certainly. A melancholy trails to Virginia Hallis McCaskey. The owner of the Chicago Bears has passed away at the age of 102. McCaskey inherited the team from her father, Bears founder and NFL co-founder George Hallis, in 1983. In the ensuing years, different family members have run the team, but McCaskey has always overseen it. Wilbon, this is your team. What are your thoughts?
A couple, Tony. Growing up knowing that Virginia McCaskey, talk about direct link to a founder, a pillar of the National Football League. I guess the last direct link as such. And you know what? There's some cities where owners are reviled and are being not the case in Chicago with Virginia McCaskey. Whatever the Bears have been or have not been in terms of performance, nothing but praise for Virginia McCaskey and sincerest condolences to the Hallis McCaskey family.
We would like to celebrate the broadcasting finale of the great Hubie Brown. Hubie, who is 91 years young and has forgotten more about basketball than we will ever know, is going to call his final game on Sunday. Over the years, we have poked fun at Hubie for his age, calling him a dinosaur and a fossil. We did that because we love him, and we are fossils too. We go back a long way with Hubie. I first knew him when he coached the Kentucky Colonels to the ABA title in 1975. He coached Atlanta, the Knicks, and Memphis in the NBA. Twice was Coach of the Year. He's in the Hall of Fame. Most of you know him from television, where he took the most complicated of basketball concepts and simplified them for all of us to understand. And we are all better off for having watched Hubie Brown all these years.
The cherry on top of any basketball experience, even in the playoffs, was going to the game and then going to the hotel lobby and being able to sit and listen to the great Hubie Brown. Talk about like a graduate school course. He and Dr. Jack Ramsey sitting around talking about basketball for the entire history of the professional sport in America. No treat greater than that. Thank you, Hubie, for everything.
Big finish quickly. Shai Gilgeous-Alexander went for 50 for the third time in his last 7 games. Your thoughts?
Best player on the best team, and he appears to be increasingly unstoppable. The Mets signed Pete Alonso to a 2-year extension. Is that significant?
It's less money than I thought he was going to get, honestly, but I'm glad he stayed with the Mets. De'Aaron Fox 24 points and 13 assists in his Spurs debut. That's significant.
I say every week they're coming to get you, the Spurs. They could be coming to get you now. Now, with Fox in the lineup, with Wemby. Ohio State added 3 more years to Ryan Day's deal. Does that make sense to you?
They can go 0-3 against Michigan. Last one, Deion said on his podcast he couldn't coach pro ball. Do you take his word for it?
Yeah, because Deion played for enough pro teams, great and a couple not so great. He won Super Bowls. Deion knows what the pro game is like and the differences between that and the college game. Yes, I believe Deion.
We're out of time. We'll try and do better the next time. Son-in-law Ron, happy birthday.
I'm Mike Wilbon. Same time tomorrow, Knuckleheads. You can get the podcast on the app or Apple Podcasts. And now, here's Sports Center. We'd like
Big
to see
week for the
Deion
NBA.
take a crack, though. We'd like to see that.
Super Bowl.